So, yeah, Mr. Kimmy, thank you for explaining to everybody how we got here. Yeah, because I think this is conversations to be continued when it comes to building relationships and a healthy relationships, right? Because everybody's going through something in a relationship. There is no such thing as a perfect relationship. So, you guys in the chat, Mr. Kimmy, let's talk about it. Let's get
Let's
into
talk
this.
about it. Let's talk
Hey,
about it.
let's talk
So,
about it.
there are some topics that me and Miss Yo kind of went through,
Mhm.
and a lot of one of the questions that a lot of people, because hindsight is always, or it's usually should be 2020, but a
Mhm.
lot of times when we make decisions, those decisions, once they're made, there's no turning back. You can't go and undo it. You can't repair it. You can't put it back to its original form, right?
Mhm.
And so that brings me to the topic of sometimes people ask the question of, what do I do when I let go of the one that got away, of the
Hmm.
person that I invested, I sacrificed, I spent time with, I allowed myself to be vulnerable with, and to, we might have had children together. We might have
Mhm.
created an entire family unit, and because of whatever the reasons are, now I regret those reasons. Speaking hypothetically, in
Yeah.
general, right?
Mhm.
Where do we go from, or how do you deal with the one that got away? How do you move on? How do you um, pursue other relationships? And are you able to pursue other relationships successfully when you're walking around feeling like the one that you should be with or should have been with, you let get away?
Well, well, well. That is very interesting. Okay, so first of all, I can't say that that's happened to me.
Mhm.
So I would feel really bad if the one that I love got away. My husband was my first love, right? He didn't get away because I wouldn't let him go nowhere. I knew what I
Mhm.
wanted. I knew what I was looking for in a relationship or in my partner. I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted my children, right?
Mhm.
So, and I saw those qualities. Although I feel really, really bad for people that allow someone to so-called get away. And most of the time, people get away because I think that the person may be thinking, well, I want that perfect man or that perfect woman, and they feel like they could find it somewhere else. Get all the qualities in one person, but that'll never happen. It'll never happen if that's something that you're looking for. So if you're in a relationship when a person have more of the qualities that you desire, that's the one that you should stay with and work with. That's what I believe. Because if you don't, a whole lot of them will be getting away, and before you know it, you're going to be away by yourself without your heart's desires. If you desire to be in love, in a strong relationship, have father or mother of your children, you're going to be the one out back, wishing and hoping. I mean, regretting the things that you miss. That's the way I
Mhm.
see it. What do you think?
I love that perspective, and that definitely is valuable context to, the one getting away, because once that process goes through and it happens, you're going to have regret, right? And I think one of the reasons why people may allow other people to get away is because you have a certain level of expectations that you want met. And a lot of times, based off of the influence of social media,
Hmm.
this cookie
Yeah.
cutter world that we're living in, the microwave effect where we want everything here and now. We don't
Yeah.
allow people to grow. We don't allow people a lot of times to be imperfect with grace. We don't forgive. A lot of us are at this point, we're not interested in forgiving. We're interested in moving on.
Right.
And you think about it, you're losing a lot of valuable time
Oh
based
yeah.
off of your expectations, because there's a definitely and you can't put a constraint on the time that it takes to get to know someone. I often hear you say that you and your husband have been married quite a while, and you
Mm,
still, because you're forever evolving individually, you're going to always figure out or try to figure out how do we get to really know one another, or do we ever, right? Because it's
right.
forever evolving. So, but
Mhm.
just giving grace, being able to forgive, and having realistic expectations. And I think a good way to do that is to also look at thyself, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Thyself is not going to yield perfection. I don't care how good you look. I don't care what accomplishments you have. None of
Mhm,
us were born in perfection. So
mhm.
if we look from within, or we look within from the inside out, and
Yeah.
understand that we need to be given grace, that we need to be forgiven, that we need to have things that where they can pick their battles with us.
Mhm.
Again, that grace word, right? So I think that's a possible solution to kind of head off any potential ways to say, oh, I let that one get away. Well, maybe your
Mhm.
expectations and your realistic expectations should have been more reasonable.
That's it. I believe in what you just said. You're in your mind, your imagination of what a man or a woman should be in a relationship. You have to make sure that you yourself are checked first, for sure. It makes me think about this. I like to plant, plant food and vegetables and things like that. But all seeds don't look alike, you know? And when you plant the seed in the ground, sometimes if you don't know what's on the label, you don't know what that vegetable is going to turn out to be.
Hmm.
You have to give it time to grow in order to reap the fruits of that benefit. It's the same in a relationship when you're picking a mate. So you can't expect that instantaneously that they have everything that you want. It's going to have to grow in time. And you guys both going to have to nurture that process. He'll be nurturing you while you growing, and you'll be nurturing him while he's growing, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you guys will grow together. Somebody gonna get a little taller than the other, but just give it a little bit more water. And y'all gonna be right there. That's what it is with relationships too.
And you
Okay?
said something key. You said give one another a little bit more water
Yeah. Oh yeah.
in
Oh
order
yeah.
for you to ascend and
Mhm.
meet vibrationally in the same era, on the
Yes.
same area, right? So that's important,
Most definitely.
because for you to sit back and criticize somebody as to how they're falling short of your expectations, but what are you doing to help lift that person up?
True. And scientists usually say that women are more smarter or they're more mature than the guys. That's what they say. That the women develop faster mentally, than the guys do. That's what they
Mhm,
say.
mhm,
But you never know in a relationship who has what qualities are they talking about when they say one develops faster than the other. See, because there's different qualities that develop at different times in the male and in the female. So you have
mhm,
to give each other a chance to grow. You have to give it time. Nothing is fast or instantaneously. We need to get that out of our mind, right? And work with one another and nurture each other in order to grow together, or in the same direction, you know?
mhm. I
Yeah,
think one of the problems in today's culture is that everything seems to be pushed to be so equal.
right.
And men and women are not equal.
At all. Not at
We
all.
have our roles, the men have their roles. We are
Yes.
made differently, not
Hmm.
just physically, but psychologically as well as emotionally.
Yes.
There is a video that I saw where it gave a gentleman gave perspective on, and basically just to sum it up, he said that when women cry, that there's testosterone in the tear.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
if men have the same level of emotion,
Hmm.
then they're giving away their testosterone as if they cried like women. So I think that
Hmm.
that made a very strong distinction that
Mhm.
you as a woman, we have to, there's that book, and I'm not saying I agree with all of the talking points, but I
Mhm.
think the title says think like a man.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, as a woman, even if we don't think like a man, we need to
Mhm.
understand our men.
Yeah, that's the part. Instead of thinking like him, you need to understand him. He can
Mhm.
think for himself. So can the woman. He just have to have a way of articulating what he's thinking to his woman, or and vice versa. But you can't think for them because you're not that species. That's just like saying think like a dog and act like a cat.
Mhm. Or
You,
expect a man to give birth.
right, right. It's just not
That's
happening.
not
It's
gonna
not
happen.
right. So yeah, that's false expectations. But some women got into that kind of stuff. So do men. We have to bring them back to reality. It don't work like that. You can't think like a man. You just can't. Especially if you're a
Mhm.
woman, and vice versa, man. You can assume by looking at some of the traits of your mother or your aunts and people in your family, and maybe what they would do. But that mate that you're with, he might be way off, way left field, because everything ain't for everybody. It has to be that chemistry between the two of you, that male and female, that sleep their head on the same pillow at night. That breathe and that smell that breath in the morning, them same two people. Ain't nobody in between those pillows. And that's how a
Absolutely.
relationship should be. Nobody be in between those pillows. Okay?
Mhm. I agree.